I'm Noelle, and I'm from Kansas City. I have been doing nails for 8 years now. Prior to doing nails, I was a police officer. So it was a major culture shock. I've had a lot of adjustments from then till now. And then I just fell in love with nails. It was kind of always a hobby before. And then once I actually started pursuing it, I fell in love with it. And then ironically, I started to love the chemistry behind it, which got me attracted to Light Elegance. So I'm super, super honored to be working with Light Elegance. I love in-person training. So this online training is very new for me and more so one of my first times doing this. So I'm really excited. It's going to be a whole new platform for me. One of my favorite things to do is extensions with the Almond extensions, which is why I wanted it to be my first class. So I'm very comfortable and I absolutely love doing it. So I'm here sorry if you hear any noise in the background. I am here at my own nail salon. I did open up my own salon, Nail Noir. We have about 5 nail techs and with a big variety of arts and crafts. So yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And thank you so much for listening. I am going to go ahead and just get started. I don't know if that was a long enough bio, but here we go. Okay. So I actually do jujitsu. So I have really short nails and I continue to keep short nails. So I have a little sticker thingy on my nail so I can take this off because I'm very active at the gym, so I'm not going to be able to keep it on. But when I first get started, I prepped my nail prior to this. So prep your nail however you do that, doing the cuticle work and everything like that. And then you are going to buff your natural nail with either a 100 or 180 grit. Now that is dependent on if you are using the Lexi line or the Jimmy Gel line. I'm using the Lexi line today. I prepped mine with 100 grit and then I put that little sticky on. So after you have prepped it, then you are going to cleanse it. So I use our cleanser with our lint-free wipes, going and cleansing the nail. Now, we have different ways to prep it. And this is the other thing that I love about Light Elegance is because we have options for the primer and bonds in particular, depending on where you are, in location, depending on how dry the area is. It depends on what your clients do for a living. If they do hair, I have a client, one of our coworkers, she does hair. So she for sure has to have the AirBond, right? So you can customize it for your clients, which is something that I absolutely love. So normally I would put the VitaPrime on my nail. Now this a little bit goes a long way. So whenever you are putting the VitaPrime on, just taking that off. And then typically I would just put it here on the center, just like that. It really disperses and spreads a lot on its own. After that, we're going to use the Tack. So let me get my light out here for you. After that, I use Tack. This is a hard gel. So whenever you're using Tack, it is going to go underneath the Lexi line. And again, a little goes a long way. Whenever you are use it as like a sponge almost, because when I'm doing it, I'm really wanting to get it into the crevices. So this is the type of motion that I'm doing when I am doing it, because you have just buffed the nail. You don't want it to be a lot. So if you put it on and it looks really sheer, like it looks really not, if you lost the grit, I should say, if you have lost the grit on your nail, you put too much on. Okay. So I like to put the Tack on a little bit. Again, goes a long way. Going to cure that. Getting up my forms. I have cuticle scissors that I use in particular for cutting forms. So if you are somebody that utilizes forms, again, you could use tips. I prefer forms. When I'm going through this, I will say something that is really important to me is nails is an art. It is a craft. So I don't necessarily believe that there is just one right way. Now, the only times where I would say that's not true is if people, right, aren't cleansing the nail before application. Obviously, cleansing is extremely important to prevent any greenies, right, the pseudomonias. cleansing prior to any application is extremely important. And so there's some things that are a must, but if you're going to use forms, then become, a master at forms. If you would like to use tips, then become a master at using tips. This is your craft. So for me, forms was something that I just really fell in love with because I loved, again, how I could customize it to this person's nail. Okay. So here I'm taking this centerpiece. I'm going to put it on the back. At this point, I like to give it a little bend here, separating this. Now, this part is important. When you are putting the form together, I'm just going to put the bottom end here very loosely. Okay? Reminder that we are doing an almond today. If I wanted to do a square, I would leave it like this, right? I'm going to do an almond, so I'm going to be doing more pinching of the form after the application. Now, when you're doing forms, you can use both hands like this to go underneath the client's nail and then put it on. You could also use one, which is obviously what I'll do today because I'm doing it to myself. So then I like to bend these back so they don't get too sticky to the client. Then I'm going to fit it to the nail. I like to use my orange stick as my pointer. I want to make sure that it is flush underneath if you are looking down the barrel, that it's flush with the natural nail. And I also want to make sure that it is going up to each end of the sidewalls. This is the part where you will customize it for your client. So I kind of just loosely put it on. Now I can see where I need to cut it. So I'll give it a little snip here and a little snip here. All right, because then I like to cut these sides here. So what this is doing is giving me more room on the sides to get underneath that natural nail and get around the skin on the side so that it can get really flush and close to this natural nail. So here we go. I picked this ring finger because it's my favorite nail. And I feel like if I say that, everybody's going to get what I mean. I think we all have like a favorite nail. So this is my favorite nail on myself. All right. So, oops, I just bent that a little bit. So then, all right, we are able to get that really nice and close. Okay. So let's see, do we want to do a really long one? I could do a really long one. Once I have it really underneath, nice and tight and snug, okay, then I can start to pinch the tip here. Again, we're doing almond today, so this is why we're going to start giving it its natural shape. Now, there's many different techniques and ways for this form to be. So this is something I just want to point out right now, because anything that I'm talking about in regards to the form today, I want to reiterate, this is for an almond nail. It does make a difference, the shape that you are doing. I have been trained with the form to come out directly like this. Now, if the form is slightly tilted up, that is also okay. I say that loosely. Obviously, you don't want it to go, there is a too far and too much of anything. But when we have this here, if it were to come up slightly, that would be okay. Now, this is going to be more on the Russian style because let's say we had our apex here and the form slightly came up a little bit, I would be able to have it come straight out from the apex. That'll make more sense later once you see me filing, but I need to say this now because if you choose to do it that way, it is okay. Your side will come up very slightly, which I think that maybe that happens sometimes too on people's natural nails. So I can go on and on about formal application just because I do feel like this part is really important. Something else that is really important to me when we are learning nail application for anything is doing it right the first time, because the more that you do it correctly the first time, the less you have to do later. So really it saves you time, although I know sometimes it seems like this is a lot of work right now. In the long run, it saves you time. If I get a really good tip application form, then later on, I don't have to mess with it. So I'm actually going to put this away for right now because I want you to see the builder. So I'm going to go in with my builder. Now, what I absolutely love about Lexi Line is all of the different, and I'm sure that this has been covered many times, but the different viscosities of the Lexi line. When you are a beginner gel nail tech, this is like the holy grails because it's so much versatility. So this with the builder, not going to move at all. I can hold it like this all day long. It's not going to come out. It stays exactly where you want it, which is why I like utilizing this for my extension, because then I could just put it where I want it. Alrighty, so I'm going to go in, get a little dollop. All right. Okay, so then, let's see here. I'm going to put, oh, I got a little, yeah, I was moving my fingers too much. Okay, so I got a little dollop here that I like to put here at the end, just like this. Okay. After that, I'm going to take my trail and I'm going to start to go back and forth. Right now, I'm not too concerned about getting it to the sidewalls. I'm just trying to think, how long should I go? Let's see, let's how long. We'll go here. So let's go to the second one. Now, I don't know if anybody follows Elizabeth Morris, but she talks about, one time she said it's like drawing. Once you have a trail, okay, once you have a trail, it's just like drawing it on. So it's very gentle, it's just a draw. Now, and I forgot to add this part. So now that I know how long it's going to be, I'm going to pinch it to where it is ending. So I'm going to pinch it to that second line. The reason of doing so is it's going to add on and give me a beautiful C curve. We want to see C curves in the extension because that is an additional strength and structure to the nail. If you were to take a piece of paper and you leave it flat and you push it up against something, it's going to bend. If you turn the paper and give it a good C curve and you push it against there, it is going to stay strong. Okay. So then we are, let's see, going to come here. So here's where I'm very gently now pulling it to the side. Pulling it around here. And pulling it up here. And I will say this, yeah, there we go. If you so chose, go pulling it out. Wonderful. So if you so chose to take a liner brush and pulling those side, you could do that as well. It's a little bit harder with the builder because it is a bit thicker. But here's something that I've noticed that I find really important. I've noticed when people are putting on the gel, they will make it really thick on these corners here. Okay, so the corner here and the corner here. The downside of that is later on when you start building on top of that, it is going to stick out on your sides. Again, this is adding more work for you later on. So imagine you're gluing a tip on. We're wanting to keep it as flush, and imagine that this is a natural nail coming out, a natural nail growing. That is our goal, what we're doing here today. Alrighty, so I'm making sure that I got that side nice and beautiful and tight. Okay. All right. And then I just like to blend it up a little bit. There we go. My lights. I did notice one comment, so I am going to talk about that comment only because I read it really fast and I can talk about it during this while it's curing. I did see somebody ask me if about the slip layer. Two things. I already put my tack down, and when I am putting on the extension, I don't necessarily need a slip layer because I don't want to keep building on this natural nail. I won't need a slip layer for the extension part. When I do the slip layer, the reason for a slip layer is because when I'm adding and building on, gel goes where gel is. So for the building of the natural of the extension, I just need it to go on the form and on the end there. I won't need it to go anywhere else. Now is the time where I would do the slip layer. When you're taking off the form, just pinch the side there. And then we have our extension. Okay. Now is the time for slip layer. So there's a couple things that we could do here, and this is something that I prefer to do. Fun tip, close up your builders if you're ever going to file anything, just so you don't get more dust in there. What I like to do at this time is I cleanse the nail, and I'm actually going to file the tip. I like to make sure that everything is exactly how I want it before I build up the nail. A couple reasons for this too is, especially if I'm doing a shorter extension, there's been many times where I'm able to get this exactly where I want it, put my builder on, and then I actually don't need to finish filing. It's already done, especially on shorter nails. It's just a lot easier to do it that way. And then if you have gotten a little bit more advanced in building, then you're able to just top coat in and send them on their way. That being said, I like to make sure that this part is done first. It also will prevent me from having to add gel where it's not needed. So if I, let's say, went too far low, or maybe I had one nail that was like way longer than all the other nails, and then I don't have to waste more time later on shortening it and then having to go through more gel, right? It's like having it all ready to go right now is really helpful. Kind of getting the shape that I want. Now, when you are filing an almond nail, I'm going here at the side at a 90 degree, and I'm going underneath here at a 90 degree. There should never be a time where you're filing at this 45-degree angle, and there should never be a time where you're filing into the sidewall. I'm coming straight out from the sidewall where the natural nail extends from, not any deeper. Okay, that part is very important. Okay. Yeah. Well, here a little bit. The less ridges, the less bumps that I have to deal with, the smoother my application is going to be. All right, I'm going to cleanse this. I also like to use a brush. A little nice cleanse. Okay. All right. Now, my favorite color for building is cover pink. I ran out one time and I felt like, oh, of course I grabbed one that's almost gone. I just got a new one, which was my problem last time. Okay. I absolutely love cover pink. I feel like this is a really good neutral pink. And I say neutral in the sense that it goes with all types of skin tones. I think some, that go with more, people are getting fancy with their verbiage of, golds and silvers and all that. I learned more about color theory the other day. So here is where now I'm going to put my slip layer on, okay? Putting on the slip layer with colored gel as well, because I do plan on making this the color. I'm going to go as close to that cuticle as possible, as close to that proximal want to get underneath that proximal nail fold if possible. And gel goes where gel is, so this part is important to make sure I'm getting it everywhere. Okay. There's two ways, depending on length. If I go really long with somebody's nail, I will do 2 dollops. At this length, I feel confident doing 1 dollop. But if you wanted to start a dollop halfway through and go down, cure it, and then go back up, you could do that as well. This one, I'm going to go up. I like to put it down where my apex is. I'm going to go up and bulldoze it gently near the cuticle. This is what I love. One step. To me, I love how it self-levels. If you are a beginner, I suggest using extreme. Now, as I'm coming down, you'll notice that I'm not going all the way down to the side. One, I don't need to. There's already gel there, and I don't want it to flood the cuticle, and I don't want it to flood the sidewall. I might have used too much, we'll see. So then I'm using my light lines to see where the cuticle, where the gel went. I'm looking at all angles. What I love about gel is gravity. Especially with short nails, I barely touch the nail. I'm sorry, the gel, because gravity is going to do a lot of the work for you. Now, the longer you go with the nail, the harder it is. You do work it just a little bit more, but you don't have to as much. I'm sorry, can't see my face right now, but I am looking down the side of it, just kind of messing with it. I can always add more, which is what I might do. Oh, starting to really like where it's at. So I have a little side light, handheld light that I use to cure it right here because I really like to keep the apex where it's at. I'll go ahead and give that a cure. I really like gravity to do a lot of the work for me. The less that I have to move it around and work with it is to me working smarter, not harder. I think when people start moving stuff too much, I'll notice that they just keep moving it and moving it. And finally I'm like, we're just moving it around. Like it starts to just become a little too repetitive. So here, I'm not sure what this little guy's doing. There's a little guy sticking out right here. But otherwise, I really like where we're at right now. Not my favorite. And I actually kind of want to add to the side a little bit. You can always take off, especially when we're using an e-file. There was a time where I had to work at a salon where they didn't allow e-files, but everybody wanted the extensions that I had been doing. And man, that was rough. But it did force me to get better at putting gel where I want it. Yeah, not that much. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. So the longer that you get, yeah, just don't get me wrong. I actually love hand filing. And you're going to notice I may not even use the e-file today. I love hand filing. I love hand filing, finish filing, but to debulk, it is really great to use an e-file. It's totally fine if you do all your finish filing with your file. But if you need to debulk quite a bit, it doesn't hurt to go over all of your nails just quickly with a or zippy shaper bit to do that. Okay. Only because, again, we're trying to save time here as well. All right, so now I'm going to cleanse this part. Yeah, I think I'm going to be able to just use the file. So after that, we're going to cleanse. Now, again, with one step, which is why I love it so much, is that if, which it's not, but if this was perfect, I could be like, hey, girl, you're good to go and send her on her way. But it's not perfect. So if I were to use the e-file or not, I still haven't decided. But before I do that, I go through and I make sure that the shapes is where I want it. So I'm coming through. I'm going to start shaping here. Again, I'm coming here. You'll see this file is here, not here. The point of that is because I want this to come beautifully down the sides, flawlessly. So I'll pick up this. Okay, this is another important part. When you are filing, you are using two different muscle groups. The reason this is important is because when you're going here, this is your biceps that's working. When you're coming here, this is a lot more shoulder work. The reason this is important is because some muscles are stronger than others. So what tends to happen is people will start filing this way, and let's say you're moving fast. So you start filing this way, and then you come over here, and then you look back and you notice all the nails are crooked and they're starting to point. One side is maybe sharper, the other side is not, or they all start to lean this way. You are actually using two different sets of muscle groups, so it's very important to recognize the pressure that you're putting when you're doing this. So if you notice over time that they're starting to look crooked, not their finger. I mean, you guys could use their finger, but it's probably the way you're filing. I love going underneath because I really want to make sure that underneath coming out really nice. Okay. We don't want any gapping right here. Also looking through different sides of it. So if I'm looking this way, and then I'll look this way. Do you see how this started to look more crooked now? Looking this way, and then this way. So this way, it's like, okay, it's kind of coming this way a little bit. No problem. Then, when we're walking through, don't forget the nail is rounded. So what happens is people put too much pressure going like this. And as you're doing this, it's not making it rounded. It's making it, you're going more jagged, right? So coming here, coming through, very light. Oh dear. Very light coming all the way around. I want it to make it rounded. And typically, when I'm working on a client, I'm holding their skin, and I'll hold their skin back. And then I will put my thumbs are calloused because I'll put my finger here. So when I'm coming through, I'm getting so close to their cuticle, but I'm actually making sure I'm hitting my cell. So I know the pressure, I know that this isn't cutting them, and I'm protecting their skin. So all this, because you've already done so much work on their cuticles, you don't want to mess that up. Going around. This is where, when you're finished filing, you're looking at this scratch marks. This is so satisfying. This part, oh, if I could just leave people's nails like dusty and just filed. Oh, that's the best. I know you guys get it. Like there's parts here. Oh, there we go. So you're also looking down the barrel. I'm looking at all aspects of the nail. I'm looking from the side. I'm looking down the barrel, right? We're looking at angles all the time as we're filing. I've transitioned to a very narrow almond. I called this an almond class, but I'll be honest, I do most of mine such almondetto. I make my almonds very narrow. And I sometimes I don't realize it until the end where I'm like, look, you wanted it narrow, right? Oh, we're getting a really beautiful impact here. Look at the, yeah, this is really nice here. See the side. It's a little, even a little pointier than I'd like. So this part of filing is important. This is very loose. Now, I'm actually using the 180 side. If I want to debulk or if I see a point where I'm like, oh, I could take a lot off, I'll switch over to the, oh, there's a little spot here. I didn't quite get cured. You see that? No problem. Just cure it a little bit longer. Let me fill it off. Actually, I can wipe that extra off. Honestly, I can't remember if I did this for a minute or 30 seconds, but it is definitely going to need a minute for any color, anything that has a lot more pigments in it, especially whites, things like that are going to need that. Looking at all in this brilliant. Yeah. I'm looking down the barrel. Looking down the barrel because I want to make sure that these are even, right? We're wanting symmetry here. Also, I think it's Elizabeth Lewis here. She described it as like a dolphin, what do I call that? Nose? Especially during almond, like a dolphin nose, where it's just coming through like this. I will say this is my favorite part of doing extensions. I don't know why all of a sudden you guys get it. I love this part. To me, this is the best part. And I love doing nail art. I actually love this more than nail art. I don't know why. I did ceramics. Maybe it's because they're ready ceramics. This is starting to look really nice. Just looking at all shine. Almond is where I'm going to clean it off a little bit just so you guys can see a little bit better. Almond it is one that can go up a little bit, just like I was telling you, having it angle upwards a little bit. Now, I don't want my squares to do that. If I were to do a square, that is not the hopes. Okay. I feel like we are really getting there, getting it. Feels pretty good for me. She's a sharp girl. Oh, she's sharp. I get it. Hope you guys can see. So my main point and focus here is this is not the longer, if this nail were to be longer, the higher this apex should be. So we have our apex here, especially when this starts to grow out. So the longer it is, and if it grows out, if you have your apex here to here, you're doing good. Once that nail grows, that apex is going to start growing out. So it is important that we keep that apex, depending on the length, the middle to top third of the nail. As you guys have obviously seen, really long nails, you know that apex appears pretty high. Now, if you wanted more of a Russian style, you would angle this up even more, and then that extension would come from the apex out. Again, this is an art. This is a style. There is, so many different ways, not just a right or wrong way. So make sure that this is not curing. It's a little bit longer. Make sure that this is done as your art, as your style. As long as you guys are focusing on the structure, these are the parts that are important. Having a beautiful C curve, having your apex placement correctly. Everything else is an art, is a style. So the way that you do it, as long as it's efficient and done with intention, then you're good to go. All right, so I'm really happy with where this is at right now. So now I'm going to come through with anytime I do extensions, I love my foamy files. They're just, in my opinion, the best. So I'm coming through. This is where it just looks smooth out and it's so nice and clean. They're already dusty and you are just cleaning it all up. This is where you can get any skirting. Oh man, this is making me miss. I used to have my nails like this all the time. I miss it so much. I love jujitsu more, but man, I miss my nails. Okay. Mm, wanting it nice, rounded, smooth. That's my other advice when learning, if you're kind of learning this style. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I tell my girls this all of the time. You start slow. As you progress, you will get faster, but you don't want to get fast if you don't have good technique. Okay. So since obviously this nail, it's a cover color, but I want to top coat it. If I didn't file it, I could have just let my client walk out of here. But I did file it. So I want to use something that I've been absolutely loving is the Pretty Kitty because it is a top coat. And I love the cover pinks because I've already got my builder down. I just love builder colors in general. It makes your appointment just fly by, but the flawless look is amazing. So cleansed it. And I will say, you might see like a little bubble up here. That is from the sticker that I put on, so I can take this nail off after. Just wanted to preface that. I see some like warping over near that cuticle, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's that sticker I put on.
Hey, Noelle,
Yes.
after you're done revealing this, after it's all cured and everybody has seen the finished nail,
Yep.
I think because you are the first person to do a power hour using one of the stickers as the background,
Oh,
would you mind showing them removing it on camera? And then,
yeah.
yeah, look, they're already going, please, Katie. Then would you apply a sticker and just show them what you did?
Oh,
Just
fun.
like
Yeah, that's
after you pop it off, put a sticker on just so they can see. Because I think a lot of them practice on the side too, or maybe do an an overnight set or something, and they'd be surprised at how well those stickers work.
yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
There's actually Elaine who gave me the stickers, you guys. So
Oh, is that one of the ones I gave you?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, don't show the brand because I don't have them to give away anymore. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
have
yeah,
what I gave you guys. But there's some out
yeah,
there. I mean, they can find them
yeah,
out there. There's a lot. But the
yeah,
technique, I want them to see
yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, these are the ones you gave me.
Oh, I love it. I used to use
Uh,
these for covers of magazines.
oh yeah, this was a game changer, especially like for me
Yeah.
because I wish I had my nails like this still, but I can't. Like it's not part of my lifestyle anymore. But
Yeah, when I was doing Nail Pro covers, I used these, and then the editors at the Nail Pro demanded every nail tech after me use them from then on because we always had to remove the nails off the professional model. They were modeling tomorrow for something else. So
right,
they would be there late at night waiting for the pro to take the nails off. So we started using the stickers. I'll
yeah.
call you in chat, Autumn. I'm gonna quiet myself now and let you get back to work.
Okay, so we're just working here with the magic of, oh, look at that, that's fun. The magic of these magnets. Let me cure that. That's what's so cool about this. Like, let's say this was a client who was like late or whatever the case is. I was able to use a cover color. I will say, I think just doing it here and then having to apply it, it was a lot more difficult. I kept looking at the camera. So let's say, we were moving really fast, really easy. The coverage was flawless. And then all I had to do was, and she wanted some art, and I did a magnet, like glitter, pretty kitty. Like, that would be so awesome. It would be fast. She would get what she wanted still. You're not, lacking on the service. The stuff that we have now is so cool. I wonder if I can get, so here's that.
Oh, looks so good, Noelle. It looks good. It looks just so good.
Yeah. So, and then just checking those light lines, you guys. So I think this is the other thing that's really important is checking those light lines, and that's going to show you, because the cool part about this is, let's say there was like a huge divot or something. Take your top coat and use your top coat very similar, very lightly, like a builder to fill in things. It is not a builder, so you can't, make it too thick, but at the very end, you can still bring it all together. Let's say there's just like a little divot or whatever the case is, then use it. Yeah, so there's that here. Now let me grab my okay, orange stick. So the orange stick is where you're going to start to go underneath and get for the sticker to come off. Okay. Also,
Just for YouTube, I'm gonna say this one more time in case they get to this point and think you're peeling a gel nail off.
oh yeah.
For YouTube's sake, when this lives out there, she applied a base sticker so that she wouldn't permanently leave this nail on. And now we're asking her to demonstrate how easy it comes off and the sticker that she used.
Yeah. Had I not put a sticker on underneath, this would not happen. I would not be
Right?
able to
Could
get
you
this off.
imagine if you're watching this thinking you're just peeling a gel off someone's nail?
This is everybody's nightmare right now. Okay, so making sure that I'm getting underneath here, and you'll see, oh, here we go, right here. So I kind of there's like a little bubble I could see from the sticker. So I just went and look at that, getting underneath. And very gently, I'm going to go around the corners to kind of peel that off and lift it up. Coming around here, gently. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah,
Coming
whenever I
underneath.
did this, getting the initial starting point is the hardest part. But once
This is
you
the
do,
hard
it
part,
breaks the
yeah.
seal. I know.
Yeah, because it's putting the tip on
But
is where
see how hard it stays on this well. Like they'd go through
yeah.
a whole photo shoot in this nail and not look at that. Look at that. I knew
So,
the minute you had that little bump on the left side in my mind, I went, I bet she had a wrinkle there.
yep,
Because
that's
it
exactly
just
it.
showed up. Yeah.
Yes, that I couldn't think of a word for it, but yes, there was like some wrinkle,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you guys saw there
So
was
you want a
wrinkling.
trick for the wrinkle? If you
Yeah.
guys ever use one of these stickers and there's a wrinkle, wrinkle looks like what? Like a shark fin, right? It comes up off the
Mm-hmm.
sticker and it's just where it curved around the nail. Use a set of sharp nippers. You can actually cut the fin
So
off. Because
smart.
the two edges are stuck together, they still cover the nail, and you can literally nip anything that's coming up off the nail.
That
Yeah.
is so smart.
Look how beautiful that is.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah, my nails perfectly fine. Isn't this? I mean, I have to keep my nails so short. So
Yeah.
so these are game changers for me because now I'm able to do this.
Will you show them putting one on just in case they ever go
Yeah,
on?
yeah. So then, oh, all right. So though sometimes they come a little differently, but actually, let me move this.
Yeah, they're all
Uh,
different.
so this one has a little edge here. Peel off one of the sides here. Then applying it so this one's probably just a little too small, but I would apply it here. Then I take my orange stick and then I start pushing it on.
Exactly how you do it. Nice job.
Yeah, this application is better than my last
I
one.
love
But
how the
anyway,
top just pops off.
yeah, it's so cool. So I really kind of just make sure I really get it on there. And then, yeah, you can peel that off and then you have that the stickers, side. So then once that's on and that's hanging off, you just take a file and then I just file downward.
Oh, your textbook. You're so right on.
And then you could peel that off. And then, yeah, I just,
Do you see it? Do you
I,
have any fins? I don't think you do. You
I,
had such a good application.
I got a little one. Well, no, I just got to smooth that one
Yeah, you
out.
just needed to smooth it. I find
Yeah.
the deeper C curve someone's nail is, the more likely you're gonna have just a ripple, and that's where you use your nippers to cut it. That looks,
Yeah. Yeah. So then I can go underneath and then peel it all off.
yeah. When you use some of these stickers, they literally, you could wear the set. It could be a prom set, seriously.
And that's what's so cool because just sitting here and like obviously I was very gentle filing, but still just with that pressure and the filing,
Hmm.
it stayed on the whole time. Like
Yeah,
I think some people would worry it would just pop off when I was working, but it stays on.
perfect.
Yeah.
Great job.
Anyway,
Do you want to take, I was gonna say, do you want to take, I think taking questions looking at your pretty face is better than the table.
yeah.
I do have questions I'm going to ask first because they were asked in chat. I have one at
Okay.
11:07 I've got to find. Bear with me a second. There's a lot of scrolling. Why do you read all this? It's so fun. We're a chatty bunch. Okay, I'm almost there. Barbara, where are you? Okay, Barbara asks, do you have to use clear forms? Because you didn't. I was told by my instructor that in order to cure properly, the form needs to be clear for hard gel.
I will say I've never heard that before. I guess I would like a further explanation as to why it would need to be clear.
So
Let's say you're
it's an
sorry.
old school thing. You're a baby.
Oh,
This is, I
yeah.
don't know, Barbara, I'm not calling you out. Your instructor might be old, but I'm old. I'll call myself out. In the early days, our gels, when they were pigmented, didn't cure as well. But I will say your technique, you don't need a clear form because you used a clear gel. So you cured your clear gel, you removed the form, and then you used your color gel and it was able to penetrate from underneath and from the top, right?
Yeah, so I feel like because that's the only thing I could think of would be due to the pigmentation. But again, when you're doing the extension, you want it to be a thin layer. You don't want to make it thick, whether it's clear or colored. Like especially if you're doing a white is a very difficult gel just in general to cure. So you want to make sure that you're still keeping it thin as if it were like a natural nail. And then whenever I think especially too, like this cover pink that I used was at the very bare bottom, and I could tell there was a lot of pigmentation in it, which is why I think that I had some trouble curing it. That's why there was like these little bubbles that were coming out. I didn't grab my new one. This one was just the bare bottom of it,
Makes
of the
sense.
barrel. So that's why I feel like I had any issues with this, because usually I don't.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
next question, I'm going to use Autumn Lane Beauty because I love saying her business name and it gets it out on YouTube. Oh, so this
Yeah.
is her question, and you kind of she asked it before you actually did the one step, but she's kind of like me, so I'm going to read this. I'm
Mhm.
still in the process of mastering Builder. It is amazing for sculpting because it does not move, but I struggle to build my structure so well with it. Can I go in with Extreme or Cool Gel for that application apex on top of the Builder? She asked it before you moved to one step.
Yeah, yes. So that again, I know I sound biased because I am an educator for Light Elegance, but I love the different viscosities that Light Elegance has. If you are a beginner, when I started out with Selena Ryden, and she had mentioned using the Builder for Everything. And there's another educator that uses Builder for Everything as well. So you could start out with Builder. It won't move at all if you're learning how to use gel, just because, you can sit there as long as you need to get it how you want it. That's why I think the more advanced you get, the easier it is to just utilize self-leveling gels. I love One Step for so many reasons, but I was using Extreme for a long time. And then I actually kind of got annoyed and I wish it was more self-leveling. And I think it was just because I started to get better with it. And then I used One Step. So it's really, again, this is an art. This is like your preference. You could use any of the builders to whatever works best for you of what is going to be the most efficient for you.
Brilliant. I have to say too, I went from an acrylic, avid acrylic user to gel. So for me, back then we didn't have gels that stayed put. We always had the Euro gels, and you'd put your client in the lamp and their hand would come out and it'd be thicker on one side because their
Mhm.
hand was tilted. So when thick gels came out, it was a game changer for me. I had more control like an acrylic user. But you're
Mhm.
right, as you get better with gels, then you start to go, well, now it's too thick. I want it to self-level.
Right, right. Because that's what it is. It's just like experience and what you're used to. For me, I feel like I've gotten down to where I've like, I hate using this word, but like mastered,
Yeah,
a certain craft. So
yeah.
it's like, for me, it's like, I'm not going to break something that's not broken. But when I was using Extreme, I hit a point where I'm like, I feel like it's slowing me down a little bit. I think I could move faster with something that's more self-leveling. That's
Mhm.
exactly what happened. So, but I learned with Builder.
Yeah. So she also had a follow-up question further down, and she said, would two thinner layers of one step have been better, or was one dollop okay to use, but cure for 1 minute in LE dot?
The length that I used, I prefer one dollop. Again, like I said, only because this was the bottom barrel of my cover pink. I think there was more pigmentation in this because typically I could see that it needed mixed because typically that it's not a problem.
Yeah.
The longer that I have the nail, I will use two dollops. And when I use two dollops, I'll, I don't, something else that's important. When I use two dollops, I don't do a slip layer on the entire nail. The reason is if I were to do that
There you
and
go.
I come, yeah, sorry, I
You're
come
good.
up, I want to focus in. If I do that and I come up to here and add a slip layer, okay, and then I cure that, and then I come back and then I do the first dollop where the apex should be, build it out, cure that. I'm going to come back to here and add even more gel closer to that proximal nail fold. What that does, it adds more layers. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a little lump here. And we don't want that. We want it to come here very gracefully. If you see on this nail, oh, here we go. Trying to get it to focus in on this. I don't know if it will. Here we go. You want it to come as flawlessly from the end as possible. So I really only like to have one layer from the proximal nail fold out. Does that make sense when I say that? Only because I don't want things to get too thick. I don't want it to get too bulky at the very end. I really like that flawless look where it's just, you could just gracefully go from the natural nail to the extension and you don't hit a bump. It's just going up. So you could do two dollops if it's a longer one, a longer extension. Did I articulate that okay? Does that make sense?
I think so. And maybe even if you want to elaborate, she even may be wondering one on top of the other. Like, would you ever do two layers? I guess you would only do a sculpting layer and get your apex. And then if you had to do another layer, it would be more like what you did today, right? You had an area that
Right.
needed more.
Yeah. And I'll be completely honest, I feel like when I was doing it, I was a little bit nervous. So I typically with that length, I would just be doing one dollop and one dollop with one layer. But you can always add on. So the only reason I knew I needed to add on was just because I was seeing the light lines.
Yep.
But if you noticed when I was going in and adding that second dollop or that second layer, I should say, I didn't put my brush all the way to the proximal nail fold. And
Mm,
that are a couple reasons is I don't want to keep adding closer to the cuticle because if I notice it's starting to get bulky, I don't want to have to finish file near the client's skin. I want to avoid their skin as much as possible. So
mm,
that is another reason why I don't keep bulldozing and going close over there to the skin and the cuticle because I don't want to hurt them anymore. And I don't need that much gel around there. Really,
yeah.
I'm just focusing on the apex and that extension.
Yeah.
So you can keep adding as much as you need to. My caveat is just don't keep adding to the cuticle,
Bulking it up. Yeah.
bulking it up.
I love
If you
that you
need
call it bulldozing. Other people call it snow plowing. It's so funny or
oh yeah.
different. It's the same. But it's different.
Yeah, same concept.
I'm still going through the questions you all, so I know there's probably more at the bottom and I'm gonna keep going down and I'll hit them. But Angie wants to know, would you pinch? Okay, I reworded this in my head. When you applied the form, you know how you pinched it to do an almond? Okay, keep that in mind. She goes, would you pinch the tip of the form if you were making a square extension instead of an almond?
Yes. So I don't do a ton of squares, but the times that I do, I have pinched them. That's also to one of two things. It's a preference. Like if you notice competitors, obviously competitors are pinching. There's a specific look that they're going for to where they're pinching. Also, another thing that is important is the client's natural nail. When you're putting the form on, do they have more flatter nail beds or is it more, do they have a natural curve? If they have a really beautiful natural C curve, I may not need to pinch it. But if you're going for a very specific look, then yeah, there's times where you can pinch. Again, even if you were doing almond, you could still pinch it. You could pinch any extension, really. I used to do it a lot, actually, just for the aesthetic. But over time, especially just for a nail salon, I don't need to do that every time. It's kind of slowing me down. And just pinching the form was giving me a good enough of a C curve.
They did say add it to the list of topics. Like they're so great. Every week there's something they think of and they go, "Ooh, can we do a power hour on this?" So
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna save it with you. Write a
Oh,
note for
cool.
your next one. Maybe on your next one, do a how to pinch the gel.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
get what you're saying because back when I was doing judging on the Olympia, yeah, they always made the form tighter so they got a tight C curve without pinching, right? Because you want to get
Hmm.
a tighter barrel on the nail. So,
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
okay, so now I'm going to questions I didn't know existed because I'm scrolling back down to the bottom. So, I think I must still learn product. Okay, so these are just comments. I feel there's one. Oh, what brush did you use?
For oval.
Okay. I like four oval too. I
For
like
oval.
oval. I don't know how everybody can use a square.
I know.
I
Same.
would hit
I
the
don't.
skin.
I don't understand how people are using squares out there.
Yeah. I
Again,
can
this is
see if
an
you put a
art.
lot
You're
of
practicing.
pressure and fan your bristles, but I have a light hand.
Yeah, yeah. To me, this
Uh,
is easier, but I go with the four oval, and then I put gel on the end, so I know that it's my
oh, I
builder
love
brush.
guys. At this point, y'all, I've covered the questions that were put in chat. If any of you want to open your microphone and ask Noelle any question, I guess it's up to you.
Oh,
You've done a good, you
You did
really,
so great.
yeah.
thank you.
Oh, that's Maylin.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
you
Well,
did.
thank you for doing a power hour.
Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna have to get her to do more, Maylin.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think right now would be a good time for you to share your socials and your codes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So you can find me, I'll put my social on here. For Instagram, it's nail.noir. And then for my codes, I have Noelle 1119 for today. So for today until next Wednesday, you can get 20% off. And then after that, using Noelle 15 will get you 15% off. And then that's my social.
I love it. If for y'all to remember the Noel 1119 is today's date. That's why 1119. Yeah. So make sure
Or
you
for
guys take a little screenshot of that when you're watching the
ah,
video. You'll have it. There you go.
mm.
Noelle, you did such a great job. Now you must sign up for some.
Ah, I was so nervous.
If you're a good teacher in person, you're still a good teacher on camera. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You
I
have
know.
to
I don't know
feel.
why, like being on the camera, like just makes me go brain dead.
I
But
know. I think doing enough of them, you'll realize it won't. It's the
Mhm.
same. In fact, it's a
Yeah,
little more peaceful. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
strange. Well, thank you everybody
Thank
for
you.
tuning in. And thank you, Noelle. I look forward to seeing more of your power hours.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.